All right, welcome to my deep dive into Joe Matt's How to Be Cheap. Now, when I first looked at this comic, it was a little bit different from the other ones because it's not really a sequential comic. When you first look at it, it's kind of just a collection of multiple different panels that will immediately draw your eyes into this kind of bullseye area in the middle. So as we're going to be looking at it, I actually want to start here in the middle with the title of it, How to Be Cheap, and kind of work our way out in a circle around. So as we're kind of looking at the format of it, the different panels, there is a little bit of the bleeding that's happening between the gutters in some of these pictures. You've got the guy's hands coming out here, a little bit of the bubbles popping out. Um, but it's interesting. You're looking right first at the man himself. The page alone is worth the price of any book, and he is obviously ecstatic, trying to teach us how to be cheap. So we start with right over here the four basic B's: bargain hunt, borrow, buy in bulk, bag. Uh, this is a combination. I would say it's word specific because the main thing that you want to be looking at here are the four basic B's. The B here in the corner doesn't really add a whole lot to the meaning of this particular panel. He's really wanting to emphasize, obviously, those four things. The staples of sustenance: beans, rice, pasta, potatoes. Same exact deal. It's going to be word specific. The picture could be anything, not necessarily, smiling faces of those foods. Clip coupons. This right here, this little clip coupon area is, I would consider this one to be um, additive, just because the picture. No, you know what? I think this one's actually duo, and the reason why is because both it kind of shows his thoughts. This is a thought bubble, right? But the picture and the words couldn't stand alone by themselves. You can see him. He's cutting up a newspaper. You don't really understand um, exactly what he might be doing. That's what the thought bubble then gives us the inner thoughts. Head cheese and blood pudding. Buy one get one free. Sounds good. He's getting a coupon, obviously. Kind of working your way around. And there's a lot of these that are like the duo and the additive. So exploiting friendships. This is going to be word focused again, word specific, where you've got the tips obviously exploit friendships. That's what he wants to convey, and it's just a picture of two guys talking. They honestly could be saying pretty much anything. Moving around, this panel in particular is a little interesting to me. They make a fake bus pass. You see the angry bus driver. He's coming on. He's sweating, showing him his ID. I think this one is more picture specific. The the picture itself really conveys what's going on here. He's obviously trying to pull a fast one on this guy. He's not happy about it. The brace to run. He's ready to get out of there. And just the whole thing is kind of a conglomeration of different ideas, different ways of living that Joe Matt is showing on. This is how to be cheap. It's interesting. I think the thing as a whole really shows how I think the author Joe Matt has lived this way. In fact, it really made me laugh. I love this one right here, the restaurant behavior. Where's that waiter? No tip for him. Hey, are you going to finish that? The cheapest item on the menu, water. Been there, done that for myself. I've been to restaurants more than once where I intentionally have found reasons not to tip my waiter just because I was so poor and couldn't afford it. um, and I chose this particular one just because I feel like I have a personal affinity with living cheaply. When me and my wife got married, she had said that she was someone who she felt really good at saving. She felt really frugal. She was better at it than anybody in her family until she and I got together, and she said to me that I made her feel like she was bad with money because of how cheap I am. um, yeah, I've done so many of these things. Um, Another interesting look here is the 10 deadly foes of frugality. This is another word specific panel. It really wants you to focus on the words themselves. The pictures, obviously they're there, they explain what the caption is, but it's really the captions that are the important part. Um, I've got a little bit of onomatopoeia here in the corners with these little chicks. I'm going to say they're chicks because I feel like chicks make that little cheep 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 sound. And it's funny because they're making that sound, the cheep cheep cheep. Kind of interesting that it's framed on both of these corners, but when you look at the top, we've got a penny pinch making also some onomatopoeia. You know, the penny itself is screaming "ow," and then the Hall of Fame with Thurston Howell III from Gilligan's Island. You know, an icon of incredibly rich and very very protective of the money that he does have. So, you know, kind of working your way out. I don't think there's really any particular sequence that it follows. Every single one of the panels itself provides its own story. It's almost like many different comics all in one, and just the general theme is how to be cheap. But I really enjoyed it. It took a lot of study on my part. It gave me a lot of different opportunities to look and practice applying, you know, what are all these different kinds of word picture combinations. Like this one right here, the save complimentary portion packs. He's sitting at a table and he's asking, you know, he's asking the waiter for something, but then you see down here, he's got an entire huge bag full of free condiments. That to me is kind of a duo. You kind of need both the text and the picture to really convey exactly what kind of degree he wants you to go to and saving these complimentary portion packs. All in all, I really enjoyed this comic. And I think that's not only some of them is good advice, but it's also portrayed in a way that is entertaining. Because it's taking a lot of these things obviously to the string. No one's gonna have a bag that big, but I mean, I did know somebody who kept an entire drawer full of free condiments from every restaurant they went to, and they kept it at work with them. So obviously, there's exaggeration on all these. You know, you see up here, dilute all liquids with water. Your the waters, the sauces, they're not actually going to be scared of being diluted, but it's just an over exaggeration on everything that he's showing. You know, you have to go with great exuberance and everything. It kind of comes back to the center here on how to be cheap. He's showing he's obviously very happy about it. So excessively so even. But yeah, I love the art style. I love that it's exaggerated so greatly to kind of get the point across that if you're going to be cheap, you got to go gung ho. And then each of the examples is quite entertaining. So that is going to be my deep dive for Joe Matt's How to Be Cheap.